and welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. As you guys know and know me for a gazillion years, I believe that you should always use a professional. If you don't use a professional, okay, you're only going to have the problem of aggravation, and you're going to end up spending more than it would cost you using a professional. The gentleman next to me, Atan, who is with Guaranteed Rate Mortgage, or is it just Guaranteed Rate?
Guaranteed Rate Mortgage. It's just Guaranteed Rate.
Okay. How do you pronounce your last name?
Kurgan.
Kurgan. Okay, so here's the thing about mortgages. Anybody can go online and type in, and there's probably 1 billion online mortgage companies. But what do they know? One, who are they? Two, there's someone behind the screen, and when you have an issue, you're not going to get the same person again. You're crazy to use any of those people. For me, I like to see the person I'm talking to and get that rapport with the person, so I know I'm going to get the best deal and I'm going to be treated properly.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my question is, why did you get into mortgages?
So, I come from a family of real estate agents. The background has been in real estate.
My favorite.
And you know, I was a first-time home buyer in 2015, and I said, I'm going to go out, I'm going to buy my first house. And one of the famous things in the industry is you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's correct.
So I went to my local bank, and I realized, I said, I just use them as my bank. I'm like, okay, I'll get a mortgage to them. Well, at 5 o'clock, it's like they turned into Cinderella and their pumpkin. You couldn't get a phone call answered on 5 o'clock on a Friday. You couldn't get a phone call answered until 9 o'clock on a Monday. And I had questions at 7 o'clock on a Saturday, 5 o'clock on a Sunday, and I wanted them answered, you know.
First-time home buyer.
Yep.
You surely would.
Yep.
So, did you think that, like for me, when you say that, I'm going, yeah, you know, I get it. I would be really frustrated Friday at 6 o'clock when I'm buying this house, and I have a question, one simple question,
Yep.
and nobody to talk to.
Yep. One of my borrowers told me they were in California trying to buy a house in Massachusetts. I lend Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, and Florida now that I'm here in Florida, but they were emailing me at 12:30 in the morning because they were 3 hours behind, and they said, you don't have to email me back now. I always did, because it's important. Whether you've done this before, you know, I've bought a couple of houses, and the process is different every time, and the situation's different every time, and you want someone in your corner. You want someone who's going to be responsive for you.
Right. I mean, and I hate to say it this way, but there are things to do online, and there are things that you don't do online. Finding a house and doing those tours, to me, useless. To me, look for your house maybe online, but I'm always believing go with a realtor, and then go see the house. They'll send you pictures and stuff, but go see the house. When you're going for a mortgage, go meet the mortgage person face to face, because we all have issues, and unless you have this is how I was taught. Getting a mortgage is like a table, and there's 4 legs. So if everything's perfect, you got all 4 legs, the mortgage will be a breeze. If it's 3 legs, it'll be a little more difficult. If it's 2 legs, it could be very shaky, and if it's 1 leg, it's not going to go through.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so most of us, I believe, are 3-leggers, okay? There's always something that might come up or something we have to deal with. And we can't do it, in my opinion, typing back and forth, because I need to know if I'm going to buy a home and I'm going for a mortgage that, hey, I have this on my credit report. It's a medical issue, and now I know medical issues are different than anything else. But if I'm typing on a computer, it's not really going to come up. No one's going to tell me, hey, we can get past that. It's that face-to-face interaction that's so, so important.
Correct. And there's a lot of these companies out there that will just, you type in your information, they'll spit out a pre-approval. They won't even review your information.
Oh, my God.
They'll just go off of what you put in the application. And, you know, it's such a nuance. It's such the guidelines for income, the guidelines for debt. You know, they all have to be looked at a different way, and depending on the program, you know, it's not a one-size-fits-all.
No, that I've learned very much so, that people think because their credit score is low that they can't get a mortgage. That's
Right.
not true. Okay, I mean, if it's really, really low, that might be an issue. But if you're in the 600s, there are programs for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, some people think, like me, I am entrepreneur.
Yep.
Okay, and they think if you're self-employed, you can't get a mortgage. That's not true either, I think.
Not at all.
And they think and there are mortgages, I believe, no income verification mortgages.
I do have channels with which to be able to do that.
Right.
There are stricter requirements, and it does require a greater down payment because
I understand.
it's all
that.
risk based.
Right.
So, with greater risk comes the more the requirements.
Right. So you can't get that out of somebody that you don't talk to face and in person, in my opinion. The other thing is, when you're not a face-to-face local person, they have no idea the difference between Green Acres, between West Palm, between Port St. Lucie, between Martin County. They don't know. They could be from Oshkosh. It's very important, in my eyes, that the person you work with is local, knows you and meets with you, and then together, some of the issues that someone might have, you know the way to work those issues and how to get them through.
Yeah.
Okay, so you decided to get into it because of you purchased a home and know what you're in, and your family's been in real estate for a while. Okay, how long are you in it?
I've been in it for about 2 years now. I started in March of 2020.
Uh-huh.
I transitioned. I used to sell cars. So I sold cars for 10 years. I had a great career doing that. And my wife and I started to talk about what was next in our life together. We had been married. We've been married now 6 years. So at the time we were married for 4 years, and we were trying to figure out what was next. So in March of 2020, I decided to step away from selling cars, and I ended up selling a car to a gentleman who worked for a different mortgage company.
Okay.
He took me under his wing. He kind of got the process started, but I'd always used guaranteed rate to buy my houses before.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not just here saying it as a representative of the company. I'm a client of the company. So
I think the hair replacement company had that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not only a
right. Remember that?
yeah.
But that's important because you already had a jump start on what they do and how they do it. Who's your clientele? I mean, is it waterfront people? Is it $1 million homes?
I work with everyone.
Okay.
So I want everyone to feel like they can come for me. I love working with all different types of clientele, those looking for their first home, those looking to buy a second home, those looking to buy an investment property. I can work with almost any situation.
So I decide I'm going to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my wife and I talk, we want to buy a house. What's my first step? Is it going to a mortgage person first?
100% going to a mortgage person first. You want to get pre-approved. My pre-approval process is completely digital, so I can do it completely online if you want to fill out the application. If you want me to sit in a coffee shop or sit in your living room with you, I'll do that too.
Well, the thing is, I mean, if everything that you put in there is perfect, getting your mortgage is going to be easy.
Yes.
If it's not perfect, getting a mortgage won't be, not that it's impossible, but it would be a little more tricky and a little more working around.
Well,
and that's why it's important to meet somebody, I think.
Absolutely, and it's also about having the right documentation, and that's what I'll guide my clients through is what documentation we need for each program, and I get it all up front. So we have the ability to put our clients through a pre-purchase underwriting, which means they go through the underwriting process. They've already been approved for the loan. Now the property, once they find it, just has to get approved for the loan. And so that's what I do is I go in and I do the full underwriting pre-approval. The underwriters look at the file. They sign off on the income, the bank statements, and everything, and it just makes the process a lot faster.
Okay, so let's just say someone has, I don't know, 750 credit score.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they're self-employed, so they don't have income verification.
Yeah.
And they decide that they're going to put down 50%. I think that's a loan that's makeable.
I can't speak to specific loan programs and specific situations, but there are loans for that borrower,
right?
Provided everything else is okay.
Right. I guess I guess there's many more pieces to every loan.
There's,
And I just picked two, but there's more.
and it's from what you're saying, it's possible, but there's so many nuances with different things that it'd be impossible to speak on any
And I guess,
situation.
and I mean, you don't have to have input for this, but I guess if someone had a bankruptcy, that would affect that loan. If there's probably 50 other little pieces that could affect that loan.
And a bankruptcy doesn't necessarily preclude someone from getting a loan,
Really?
a mortgage. It has to have been discharged for some amount of time. Again, that's something where I'd have to review each individual situation in
And
order to,
I guess debt to credit ratios are important.
depending on the loan, correct? Yeah.
Right, I mean-
so your conventional loan products, which are your main loan programs, those have the strictest requirements.
Mhm.
And then, thankfully, for our veterans, they have the least restrictive requirements
Right.
in terms of
VA.
The VA loans have our least restrictive in terms of credit and debt to income ratio.
You know, I hear all kinds of things constantly that there's down payment assistance, there's first time home buyer, there's FHA, VA, conventional. I don't know I remember them having adjustable rate mortgages. Are all those things still in play?
All those things are still in play. It would again be dependent on the specific borrower what made the most sense for their needs. Mortgages aren't a blanket thing, and there could be two borrowers who are exactly the same but different in one way or another, and their situations are completely different because of the one characteristic.
Okay, if I take out the borrower out of the equation,
Yeah.
the borrower went through the pre-approval or qualification, whatever it's called, and it went through base underwriting. Now the house part comes in. Now they find a house,
Yeah.
and that's got to pass.
Yeah.
What parts of it has to pass?
It has to be, it has to appraise for the value that we're lending on,
Okay.
and it has to, with FHA, they have certain, FHA VA loans have certain safety and habitability standards.
Okay.
So that could be with appliances, age of certain things, and
Lead-based paint.
that's to a lesser extent, no peeling paint, stuff like that.
You know, it's interesting because there are so many pieces in real estate and mortgages that have to meld together, and when they mesh together, you walk away with a happy homeowner.
Exactly.
Okay, and I guess that's the ultimate goal for you. You know, now since you started, have you seen changes in the industry?
I've seen some changes. So when I first started, we were in the middle of a refinance boom.
Okay.
So rates were historically low, and we were seeing more business than you ever saw before. That was great for someone just starting out. Now the market is shifting. It's rates have increased from where they were two years ago. So it's really shifted from a refinance market to a purchase market, and so I've focused my business less on going out there and getting the refinances and more connecting with real estate agents and
Somebody
purchases.
told me that just because the interest rate's a little higher now, and I want to see if I get this right, that doesn't mean don't buy.
Right.
Okay? My philosophy has always been the real estate market's like this.
Yep.
So if you buy a house for $200,000 and the market crashed a little bit and it was only worth $160, you didn't lose any money unless you're selling. If you're staying there, yes, it's going to go by and it's going to get back into where it is. Inevitably, real estate always holds its own. So you can't get a much better deal than that in anything. People say it's the most expensive purchase. I will beg to differ. Have a kid, and then that's the most expensive purchase, and then real estate. Do you work? I mean, from start to finish. So I come to you and I say I want to buy a home. I know the home I want to buy.
Yep.
Okay, and I come to you once I give you all my paperwork, and it's status quo.
Yep.
How long does it usually take? It used to take 90 days to
Yep.
120 days. doesn't
Now we're seeing 30 to 45 days, but in reality, with the digital process and everything, I can get it done faster than that. Again, it just depends on each individual situation. 30 to 45 days is usually the safest bet.
I think that part of the problem has become you can't get appraisers there.
Right.
Okay, that becomes part of it. You can't get home inspectors there. But I think what had happened in this last market that we were in is people were buying with no contingencies.
Hmm.
And that's a little nerve-wracking in my eyes.
It's nerve-wracking for me, too. I never
Okay.
want to see my clients put their money at risk.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. We're getting at the top of our time. How do people find you? You have a phone number?
Absolutely. So you can reach me at 978-836-1089 or atan.kurgan@rate.com. And I'm available 24/7. Call, text. That's my cell phone number. You can reach me anytime, and happy to help in any way I can.
All right. Unless it's an emergency, like try to keep your calls like before midnight, okay, and after like 7:30, 8 in the morning. I get calls all the time too
Yep.
in my industry, and I answer them like you do. You
Yep.
know, it's what we do. But for me, I'm like, if you call me like at 2 in the morning, I'm not sure that I have the clearest of heads when
Yep.
I'm sleeping. So call me at 7:30. I've already been up a little bit. I got a clearer head. I'm going to be able to get it better. Going back to what I said, always use a professional. And in this instance, more, it's in every instance, but in this instance, you want to use somebody that you can meet at some point in time, face to face, because their expressions will tell you a lot about how much they're going to work with you, and build that rapport. That rapport is so, so important. Atan, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Wayne.
Everybody, check him out, and we'll be right back.